Juniors and seniors, if you can fill in right behind the veterans, just fill in those seats right there. Good morning, everybody. It is fantastic to see the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grades back from their class trips. Welcome back, everybody. Good to see all of you. And faculty who were chaperones on those trips, an extra special clap for you guys. Welcome back. Today is November 10th. It is the observed day of Veterans Day being November 11th, which is tomorrow. So this is an opportunity for us during the school day to be able to recognize those members of our community who are veterans, and an opportunity for us to think of those people in our own families who may not be here with us, and to remember them during this time. So as we always do at the beginning of chapel, we're going to light our candles. I'm going to ask Mr. Sean Penny, who is our Director of Business and Finance, one of the newest members of our community, to come forward and light the candles for us. And now as we've lit the candles, we can take in a nice deep breath. Just be quiet for a moment as we reflect on those members of our family and those members of our community who have served so heroically in our armed forces. Amen. Please stand. I'd like to introduce Marissa Iannelli, 9th grade, and our 6th grade show choir to sing the national anthem. Please remain standing as we say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. I'd like to invite 5th grader Abby Campbell to please come forward for our lesson.
A reading from the letter to Hebrews, chapter 12. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and that so easily entangles. And let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. Consider him who endured such pain and suffering, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. The word of the Lord.
Good morning. It is my pleasure to introduce a man who is determined to change the world one step at a time. In fact, approximately 234,000 steps. Coach Mike Kaprowski is a fitness and running coach who has trained multiple high school sports teams and is currently a coach at a local gym. In honor of Veterans Day, Coach Mike has agreed to speak with all of you about his next amazing adventure and to introduce you to some friends of his who are doing phenomenal work for the veteran community. Please join me in welcoming Coach Mike.
Good morning, guys. How you guys doing today? So, thank you, Ms. Hain, Mr. Gould. Appreciate everybody allowing me to be here today. It means a lot to me, and I remember when I was in those seats wondering who the guy is talking, who he is, what's going on, but I was always happy that I didn't have school in class that time. So, like Ms. Hain said, my name is Michael Kaprowski. I'm a resident of St. Petersburg with a mission to stop the stigma of mental health issues with our veterans. They give the ultimate sacrifice to our country and return home just not being able to be the people that they want to be in that sense. Now, short and sweet, a little bit about me. I'm running 100 miles from Orlando to St. Petersburg next month, December 9th. But before I can get more into that, I need to talk about someone that's very special to me and the reason that I'm in this position right now. Mr. Ryan Mayer, one of my hero, and the father figure and the big brother that I always wish I had. We unfortunately lost Ryan. He was a decorated Marine. He was a New Orleans police officer for over 8 years and also a special agent in Homeland Security. When we lost Ryan, it was devastating not only to me, my sister, my godson, Connor, but overall the community of New Orleans in general. I think what Ryan really wished that he was able to spread message for is that it's one team and one fight. We can't do it all by ourselves, and it's impossible to do the journey alone, which is why I have special people over here and heroes in my eyes in Forgotten Coast K-9. Now, Ryan, before I get to Forgotten Coast K-9, Ryan, in terms of veteran, did participate and fight for Operation Desert Storm, as well as Operation Iraqi Freedom. When he came back in, several medals for his awards and participation, obviously, in the Marine Corps. But when he came back in, like I said before, his biggest objective was to spread the message of community and team membership and teamwork. Now, what I'm doing today is going to exemplify that exactly, the message that you need a team in order to get to that next objective and to get to longevity. Now, 100 miles is something that I could tell you 3 years ago, before I started doing anything endurance, that I never even thought was possible. I couldn't even run a mile without being like, who runs for fun and who does this kind of stuff? But now I understand the importance of what that can hold, for fundraising, for just getting my message across, which is changing lives one day at a time, but giving the veterans the voice that they may not think that they have. Like I said, they gave the ultimate sacrifice, so for me to be up here to represent the people in this room, the people who are not here, and those no longer with us, it means so much to me. And without further ado, before I get into the 100 miles, it would be obnoxious for me not to mention the reason why I'm doing this. I'd like to introduce to you Chris O'Brien and Tyler Moody for Forgotten Coast K-9.
Thanks, Mike. And thanks, everybody, for having us here. My name is Tyler. I'm the CEO of Forgotten Coast K-9. I'm a United States Marine veteran. So with that being said, for all the Marines in the room, happy birthday. All right? So I kind of want to start off by saying, kind of give a little tip on service dogs. So if you see a service dog out in public, how to approach them, key thing, you don't. You kind of just let them be. They're kind of like a living, breathing medical device, and you have to treat it as such. They're there for the veteran or first responder, and that's really who they're there for. They're not your pet. They're not anybody that you're supposed to go up and ask to pet or anything. You're just leave them be. So with that, I'd like to introduce Chris O'Brien, our CEO.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having us down and doing this, and we love to be down here in support of Mike. Mike reached out to us in March of this year, and said he wanted to support us. He met us at the St. Pete's Run Fest, which is this weekend, and I asked him how he wanted to do that, and he said he's going to run 100 miles, and I was like, okay. That's because y'all. I've had both my hips replaced. If y'all ever see me running, please tackle whoever's behind me, because running for fun is not my thing. We got into this, the whole thing with service dogs for veterans and first responders, through one of our friends kind of kicked this off. He was in Somalia, was in Afghanistan and Iraq, was injured over there, and we got a service dog for him and got things rolling. And as we went through and started to develop things, we ran across this kid named Cody Dolman. Cody was driving along in Afghanistan one day, woke up 7 days later. All of his friends were dead, and he had no idea what was happening. He was in Germany in an evac hospital. he came home and had extreme survivor guilt. Decided that his only way out was to try to take his own life. He was not successful, but that sent him into even more of a spiral because he thought, you know, he couldn't even accomplish that. So what could he do? He was actually trolling, and I get a little emotional about this. He was actually cruising the internet trying to find a way to make it permanent. And through nothing else but divine intervention, he wound up on a website for service dogs and PTSD. He clicked on that website. We're affiliated with that company. That's one of our training companies that we use. And found us. He went through their pet trainer program. And this is a kid that, like I said, he was trying to find a way to make things permanent. Difficulties with his wife. They were separated, going through marriage counseling, all that stuff. Had no hope. He came down and went through the pet trainer class, took care of all of that. And like I said, sorry, I get a little choked up on this one. And I met him, and we spent a lot of time together. And we started talking about how we, as a company, could help veterans more and more with the service dogs. And so we came up with a program called the Build a Battle Buddy program through Cody. And what that is we take a puppy. They start off in an 8-week program. We give them a puppy, and then they train it for the next 30 weeks live online, and then we go to their location and help them integrate it into society. Cody today is making a healthy 6 figures, training dogs. Him and his wife are talking about having kids now, and ending his life is the furthest thing from his mind. So that's a big thing. The 22 a day that you see everywhere is not the actual number. If you look at the CDC stuff and everything, and Tyler's actually researched this, it's closer to 44. So we're trying to get our message out that if you're having issues, if you're having those mental issues, like Mike was talking about, reach out, check on everybody's got friends that are veterans, everybody's got friends that are in law enforcement, just see how they're doing. You know, just that phone call can change a life. We had another gentleman, actually recruited him into the Marine Corps, Craig Schaefer. Craig was going to come through our program, wasn't feeling well and went to the doctor. Stage 4 colon cancer, they rushed him into emergency surgery. Had spread into his liver and was starting in his lungs. And they told him to go home and just make your preparations. You've got 6 weeks. Well, we had a dog that I was currently training to be my dog. And Tyler drove him up there. We got him the dog within 3 weeks. We wanted him to have a good quality of life for his last 3 weeks. Well, he had assigned himself, decided that was it. He was done and hadn't gotten out of his recliner except to use the restroom in 2 weeks. They got there. The dog immediately climbed up in his lap. 2 or 3 hours later, he was getting Tyler up to go to Petco to start getting pet supplies, and it gave Craig 8 months of a bucket list life. He was able to be Tyler's best man at his wedding. He got well enough to go play paintball again. Everything just worked. So when we say we're changing lives and saving lives, we really take that to heart. I guess the biggest change, do I have time for one more? I guess the biggest change in life that we've seen was a dog that we just recently placed. Gentleman had been trying for 3.5 years to get a service dog through the veterans. He has seizures. We got him a dog. He called me on May 21st. We had him in class by the end of the following week. We took him his dog 4 weeks ago after he'd been trying for 3.5 years through other organizations. While we were there, he had a couple of small seizures, and the dog responded, climbed up on him, and got him calmed down. After we left, 9 days, usually the bond takes a lot longer than that, but after 9 days, we had just left. His wife got in contact with Tyler and said that the dog is going crazy. What do we do? It's nipping at his hands, it's snatching the leash, it's bumping into him, it's just trying to do everything. And Tyler said, remember what we taught y'all. Get somewhere, sit down, get the dog calmed down. As he got the dog calmed down, grand mal seizure hit, which is pretty severe with him. It usually hospitalizes him. The dog climbed up on him, got him calmed down. They got him his medicine, and then a seizure that normally puts him in the hospital lasted about 10 minutes of issue, and that was it. And then another week later, week and a half later, they were at a function with their church. All the crowd, everything was getting to him. He started to have a seizure again. We actually have his medicine on a carrier on the dog's vest. And they were able to give it to him, and the seizure was avoided. So the changing lives, the saving lives, it's important. So reach out, take care of each other. It's a big, big deal. I was in the Air Force, so I don't have the combat. Obviously, I was in the Air Force. We don't have the combat that everybody else has, but I ran a K-9 unit here in Florida for a sheriff's department I was with for 10 years. And it's the stuff that they see, too. Check on those guys. They see a lot of stuff that's just not normal. So that being said, bringing awareness by running is insane, Mike. But yeah, y'all get out and support him. We're going to end this thing up. We're going to go the 9th and 10th. Now the 10th we're going to end near his gym, or at his gym. So y'all come out and support and show him some love when everything gets done and show him. And he's going to continue to tell a little bit more about the run, right? All right. Thank you, guys.
Okay, I promise I'm not as nervous as I was when I first started the presentation. So, kind of like what everyone's talking about, 100 miles. It seems like a very daunting task. You guys are all probably thinking I'm out of my mind. Maybe, yes and no. But the biggest thing more so is just creating the awareness that I think is so impactful for everyone in this building, outside this building, and those that don't have a voice that are no longer with us. So, the easiest way of saying this is going on your iPhone, going from 65th Veterans Public Park to Game of Fitness in St. Petersburg, and the only walkable path possible from those two destinations. So as you see, it's going to take roughly about a day, 13. That's if I was just walking. I do plan on running a little bit from this. But this has been about a year and change of training. A little bit of background, like I said a little bit beforehand. I pretty much picked up endurance sports right after COVID, about June of 2020. I ran 1 mile, and like I said before, and I thought, who does this stuff and how is this fun for some people? But that catapulted to more of collaborating with like-minded individuals and charities to spread the message for veterans and first responders. So I initially started with a 5K. My buddy told me, if you really want to raise awareness, you should run an Ironman. That sounds pretty tough. I'm like, all right, cool. I go to Ironman.com, sign up for Ironman Lake Placid at the time in upstate New York. And I'm like, all right, man, I'm ready to go. And he's like, all right, well, you need a bike, and you need a swimsuit, and I'll meet you at the pool next week. I'm like, what are you talking about? I thought I was just running. So I guess I turned into a triathlete in that time. But the biggest thing is that I want to tell you guys, again, I was seating just like you guys were. You don't need to be a superhero to make a big impact and cause in your community. And I think when I started doing stuff like this, I realized the power and impact that an average person like myself can have in big impact in that case. So continue going on. I ran another Ironman. I raised over $12,000 for law enforcement suicide awareness. But I always knew that there was something more for me, and I always knew there was something more I can tackle on and create more of an impact. That's when, like Chris had mentioned, at Run Fest last year, I met these guys, and my girlfriend actually, I was about to walk away, and she was like, I'll come back over. These guys are really cool. I'm like, okay, well, sweet. We clicked immediately. I respected them with the utmost respect, and we had to collaborate and think of something that, A, no one's ever done before, but B, something that is crazy enough that I'm on stage right now talking about it. So I figured 100 miles, but making it kind of like I said before, that with the motto, one team, one fight, just like Ryan had always preached to us day in and day out, where it's self-organized. All the volunteers are people that genuinely want to help me out, charities, Ms. Hain, Mr. Gould, everybody out here that is helping support my cause. And 100 miles is something challenging. Like I said, it's going to take me about 24 to 28 hours to accomplish. But I think with the right mindset and taking challenging times and making it piece by piece and just telling yourself, like, I can't do this. I made a promise to myself a year ago that I was going to train for something like this. And I think the most disrespectful thing I could do for myself is not making that or upholding that promise to myself. And those that do support me. Sometimes I think we often forget that support doesn't always come via verbiage. It comes from people that you would never expect you to be supporting. So I think it would be an insult to not have those people, trust me and believe in me. So now, I think one of the often questions I get is what would I be eating during this run and if I'm sleeping. I will not be sleeping at all during this run. I will take some breaks. But food, I'm assuming you guys could probably think of. Cheese quesadillas will be my number one, and some pancakes, believe it or not, will be my number two for the entire run. So, like Chris had mentioned, this run will take place December 9th and 10th. We are starting in Orlando and ending at the gym that I'm one of the owners of in St. Petersburg, Game of Fitness. I encourage everybody to come swing by that Sunday. We're anticipating about an 11 or noon finish time. Feel free to bring friends, family. My biggest goal at the end of the day is I don't want this to be about me. I want this to be about the people that I'm spreading awareness for, the veterans and the first responders. Just like Chris said, their motto is not just changing lives, but saving lives, one step at a time in this case. To pretty much finish up, here's the logo and everything else. But the biggest thing, guys, I always want you to keep in mind is the power of the people around you, and that you cannot do this thing called life by yourself. Surround yourself with a strong community, continue to push forward, and always take bad and tough times in how you would travel from adversity and how you not let it define you, okay? So thank you again so much. Appreciate you guys having me here today. It means a lot to me, and it meant a lot to Ryan to get his message out there. So thank you guys again. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Tyler. I think I would be remiss in having to ask a couple of questions about our other special guest here. That's Nova, right? How old is Nova? Chris, why don't you come on?
She's about 18, 19 months old.
And what sort of dog is she?
She's a Belgian Mal and a Dutch Shepherd mix.
And how long will it take to train her?
Typically takes about 30 weeks for them to get fully trained as a service dog, from 6 weeks old to however long.
Do you know who's going to have her yet?
Me. She's mine.
Did I miss that? I think I missed that. Okay. Before we move on, I would like to make sure that there aren't any questions that some of you might want to ask Tyler or Chris about the dog, or Mike about the run itself. Oh, I see one. Gabe, stand up in the back. Big boy.
Is this the first time ever anyone's done this run?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you for your question. So to my knowledge, I'm definitely not the first person to do 100 miles, but I've looked on several sites on Google and everything else I could find, and to my understanding, this is the first time everyone's ever ran from Orlando to St. Petersburg specifically, yes.
Is that Reese? Go ahead, Reese. Nice and loud.
How many dogs have you trained in the
We've delivered a little over 30 dogs. I think there's 33. We just did a program. We have service dogs are different than emotional support dogs, and we just worked a deal with a donor in Colorado that got 15 dogs. He paid for 15 dogs to go across the United States to veterans as emotional support dogs. So we've actually done 18 full-blown service dogs and now 15 emotional support dogs to go along with those.
And Marissa, one more.
Have you ever ran for any other causes?
Yes. Before I was lucky enough to meet Chris and Tyler, I lived in New Jersey, and at that time I worked for an organization called Blue Help that helped with law enforcement to get law enforcement suicide awareness preached out to the community.
Nova is adorable. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Chris, for being here. Now, veterans, we have an opportunity to recognize you as well with some wonderful pictures. These are pictures, some of which came from last year, but we have more pictures, photographs of members of our community who have served over the years. It is a slideshow, so I hope that you enjoy this slideshow as well as the music behind it, which is a medley of the Armed Forces melodies. Go right ahead. And applaud for our veterans here. Veterans, please remain standing. Everyone else, please sit down.
Miss Stripling and Miss McLaughlin and Miss Lester, this is your time now. We will now honor our veterans by presenting them with student-written thank you notes and challenge coins. The challenge coin is rooted, this is when the students, you can come and do this now if you want to. The challenge coin is rooted in a long military tradition to foster camaraderie, boost morale, and recognize accomplishments and achievements. Special thank you to retired gunnery sergeant and Canterbury parent Donnie Campbell for the donation of these Canterbury Challenge coins. Today, we honor you, our veterans, through our Canterbury Challenge coin. Please be seated after you have received your thank you note and coin. That way we know you have received it. And students, if you still have thank you notes, you can give them to veterans. And we still have, I think, Ms. Germanson, you said we have a veteran back there? Oh, standing up in the balcony, we still have a veteran as well. Okay. Thank you, students. And again, let's give our veterans a round of applause.
Asa, will you please come forward to do the prayers of the people?
These are the prayer of the people as we commemorate Veterans Day for those who serve and continue to serve this country in military service. God, Governor of nations, our strength and shield, we give thanks for the devotion and courage of all those who have offered military service for this country. For those who have borne suffering of mind or of body. On our behalf, they have entered into danger, labored long hours and borne in hardship in war and in peacetime. Encourage and heal those who are continuing to mend their words of mind, body, or spirit. Give us grateful hearts and a united will to honor these men and women and to hold them always in our prayers. And in your loving name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Asen. Please join me in saying the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Before we end the program and sing our school hymn, Tyler, would it be okay if at the end of the service, you and Nova could stand in the front of the stage here, on the stage, and students could come and just take a closer look at her? So students, if you are interested in coming and taking a look at Nova, she is absolutely adorable. And veterans, we have some refreshments out in the lobby for you, so please feel free to stay around and have some nosh and some refreshments. It's great to have you here. Please stand for the school hymn. Lord bless us and keep us. The Lord make his face to shine upon us and be gracious to us. The Lord lift up his countenance upon us and give us peace. Go in peace to love and serve the Lord. Class begins at 8:50, so you have some time. So seniors, you are allowed to start exiting. Veterans, if you can please